Honk if you're Herdy!
Herdy Gerdy is a PS2 puzzle game starring a boy named Gerdy, a trainee shepherd and man-bun pioneer.
I swear I don't care how long this lockdown lasts, you will never see me with hair like that. Embarrassing!
As Gerdy, it's your job to journey across the land to take part in a herding tournament, herding various animals using various means along the way. Reception of the game was, well, mixed. Really mixed. Some people seem to have enjoyed it, while others have claimed that it's downright unplayable.
So, is this game as awful as I've heard?
The game begins in Gerdy's hut,
A tournament!
where it becomes apparent his father is unable to wake up.
I gotta find help.
Firstly, we meet Spike, who's training to be a shepherd himself.
You're gonna need some old folk to help you out with this one. Go to the village and speak to Grandma.
By this stage, you'll probably have noticed that the graphics are kinda murky. Most levels seem to have this brown and yellowish tint, meaning Gerdy himself blends into the background. I don't so much think that the game's lighting is the main problem, rather I actually think the problem is that the colours could be a little more vivid. That, and it would help if some of the locations weren't almost the exact same colour as his skin, but I digress.
Grandma! Grandma!
Oh, I can't see a thing without my glasses. Oh, that's much better.
Grandma then advises Gerdy to go and see...
Udradzil.
Yeah, that guy. Let's call him that guy.
Dun 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 dun.
Eventually we find that guy's house, which is a tree, which is a nice touch as his name derives from a tree in Norse mythology.
Totally didn't just Google that.
This book contains the history of this island since its creation.
Here he informs us of the legend of the 6 elders, who managed to condense the very essence of existence into an acorn, for some reason. What is it with all these games and acorns?
That's what gives Sadorf his power.
What gives who what now?
This plot feels about as hazy as these graphics.
From what I gather, this elusive Sadorf appears to possess this acorn, which means he rules the island in some form.
Sadov couldn't risk the acorn in the tournament, so he placed a spell upon the one who might defeat him.
Dad?
Yes.
It's Gerdy's job to take his father's place, travel to Tournament Island, and beat Sadorf at, a herding.
Gritty stuff.
That guy then shows Gerdy the ropes in herding doops.
Dupe? What's that?
These creatures are chicken-like birds, and they are profoundly stupid, unfortunately for you. The closest thing I can think of to compare them to is the rabbits from the Curse of the Were-Rabbit game. And frankly, the rabbits had better AI. As you run at the dupes, they're supposed to group together, but there's always at least one or two that stray from the flock and do their own thing. Will you please join your friends? It's not hard. Get back in line.
You know what they say, birds of a feather flock me off.
Sometimes I don't seem to react to your being there at all. It really makes you want to scream. This is especially annoying when you have time constraints, such as in this instance where you need to beat that guy's time and lure the dupes to their pen.
There you go. That wasn't too difficult, was it?
Once this task is finished, that guy rewards you with this special musical stick, which when planted in the ground emits a tune that draws all surrounding dupes towards it, making herding a lot easier.
If it had given me that about 5 minutes ago, this task could have been over a lot quicker.
There are quite a few other characters in the village we can speak to, including this creepy girl who looks about 7 but sounds about 30.
Maybe I'll see you again sometime.
Not if I can help it.
There's also this man sitting on a wall who tells you how to control the camera, which is nice of him.
Don't mention it, kid.
Although he does nothing else throughout the game at all. You have the option to speak to him afterwards, but all he ever says is,
You're right, mate. Okay, I'll see you around.
What's also amusing is just how lacking in enthusiasm Gerdy sounds when talking to others. At times it can sound downright rude.
It's so peaceful there. I can just sit and let the day pass by.
I'd better be going.
Something touched a nerve there.
In order to progress to another level, you need to go and speak to a gypsy.
Oh.
Often you'll need to herd a certain amount of creatures before they'll let you through, and my god, do they have an annoyingly patronising voice.
Would you like to go to Valley Floor?
Not to mention a nose that rivals Grandpa Joe's.
What a conk! It's a what if she stands up straight?
We also meet a farmer beside his field of cows,
Whoa, hey there, fella.
who tells you that there are 100 bells in each level, and collecting all 100 of them rewards you with a giant cowbell.
I think one of those big special bells around my cow's necks would make them even happier.
Indeed, if you manage to retrieve a cowbell and return to this guy throughout the game, he'll unlock some extras for you in the main menu, including deleted character animations, abandoned levels, concept art, and other stuff. A major drawback though is having to constantly return to the meadow, wait for the level to load, and then walk all the way over to the farmer, who repeats the exact same line of dialogue every single time.
I see you found a cowbell. Can I have it?
Sure, why not?
Thanks. That'll look great on one of my cows.
Even when you retrieve the very last cowbell and visit him, he still says with great surprise,
I see you've found a cowbell. Can I have it?
It's charming at first, but something of a chore after a while. What would have been better is if they'd have automatically unlocked the extras for you after having collected all the bells in a level. It would really save you some time.
Could you go and tell Sarah to come home? I need her to make a trip to the valley.
Anyway, we eventually find Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. What you doing?
I love that he asks that, like screaming at chickens is a hobby of hers.
It's these dupes.
After saving Sarah from the dupes, she unlocks a gate for us. Through the gate, we obtain some magic boots, with which we can run by holding the R1 button, and also jump higher than we could before. With our boots, we can now jump high enough to reach the gypsy who'll take us to Valley Floor.
Whoa, careful there! That's a grump.
Here we're introduced to gromps. These big pink bear things will chase you if you come near, and if they catch you, they'll hit you so high you'll land somewhere else in the level entirely. Gerdy will start running automatically when a gromp starts chasing him, which is something of a drawback, as sometimes you won't even see the gromp and he just starts panic sprinting for seemingly no reason.
What are we running from?
But the gromps will easily get distracted by nearby creatures and will happily eat them without a second thought. The idea is to lure them into one of these traps on the floor. But watch out you don't trap it beside the pens of other creatures, or yeah, that happens. The interface indicates how many creatures have died, how many are left roaming around freely, and how many you've captured.
You need to know the basics first, and I'm just the fella to tell you.
The helper mole also explains this bar on the bottom of the screen. As you herd more creatures, Gerdy will bite his way along the line. Likewise, if any creatures die, the gromp will take a bite from his end. You smug bastard. The idea is to herd so many creatures to unlock new levels. Once you leave a level, the creatures will reset, so any creatures you've already herded will not be recorded. But fear not, now and again you might stumble across this little mole throughout the game, who saves your position in a level if you so choose.
Do you want to save?
This is useful, although it's essentially just a checkpoint, and it seems a bit much that it requires another memory card block, but it's a good idea nonetheless.
Hey, you!
Huh?
Yeah, you!
While in Valley Floor, we come across a big talking tree, who dares you to cross the stream.
I bet you couldn't even find your way across this little stream.
Ah, he's all talk. His bark is worse than his bite. Please don't leave.
We can also find an entrance to another location that's blocked by a big sleeping bear. As of this point, the only area we can access is Midmere, where we meet this creepy old man named Skybird, who's perturbed by some annoying purple creatures.
Don't you get hungry just sitting there?
Ah, yes. Yes, I do. But every now and again, one of those little devils jumps a little too close, and bam!
Well, this just got a lot darker than I was expecting. We're told we need to obtain a magic flute to get rid of the purple things. Now I know what you're thinking. Where the hell are we going to get one of those?
Hi.
Fortunately, we eventually stumble upon a big squirrel named Red, who's a magician.
I've made a magic flute.
How very convenient. That's music to my ears.
Herd all the dupes and gromps within Red's time limit, and you receive the flute, with which you can get certain creatures to follow you. Most importantly, the bleeps, those purple things. And they're called bleeps because they're so bleeping irritating.
Ah, shut up, shut up, shut up!
Annoying as they may be, they're so goddamn cute.
Ah, I just want to hug it!
Bleeps will follow you in a line when you play your flute. Unlike dupes, they cannot float or swim and will drown if led to water. Also, while dupes can be killed by falling from great heights, the bleeps can hover using their tails. They can sometimes be a little too eager though and wind up landing out of bounds, which can get frustrating. What the hell are you doing there, you pillock?
What we got here then?
Another creature we encounter in this level is honks. Like the bleeps, they respond to the flute, but these guys can swim. If we also bring them near to their eggs, baby honklings will hatch. Honklings will only follow you if you have a grown honk with you. The idea is to lead them all to these ponds. One thing I want to talk about is the camera. To put it simply, it's horrendous. Clicking the right analog stick switches between a close-up camera, a slightly more zoomed-out camera, and an overhead camera useful for herding. The problem is it doesn't work all the time, and the camera can zoom in on Gerdy when you could really do with taking a good look at your surroundings. Even when the camera does zoom out, it constantly gets stuck on buildings and trees and blocks your vision. Sometimes the camera gets stuck when there's nothing around to get stuck on. A game like this with such large locations and potential dangers really needs a good camera so that you can get your bearings. And frankly, this camera is just painful.
I do believe those little fellas over there are new to you.
In this level, we're also introduced to blurps. These creatures are not to be herded. Gromps will eat these things and it makes them temporarily sick, giving you ample opportunity to sneak creatures past them. Once we've done enough herding, we then come to the Elven Wood, where we meet Ephron.
Hello there.
Hi.
What? I was not expecting that voice.
On your way to the tournament, are you?
Yeah.
Well, it just so happens that I am on my way to the tournament too, so you might as well turn back.
That physique and those vocals really don't go hand in hand. Anyway, Ephron holds the Elven Horn, an item held by the greatest shepherd in these woods.
Alright then, let's see if you can beat my herding record for these woods.
Then I get your horn, right?
Huh?
Well, if I beat your record, I will be the greatest shepherd in the woods. And you said the horn should be held by only the greatest herder in the woods.
Yeah, how about coming back when you've sobered up, hun? Here we need to capture some gromps, doops, and honks, all within the 6-minute time limit. It's a good thing that you're able to restart these challenges as often as you want, as it enables you to explore the environment before attempting to beat the time.
I did it first time. Not that I mean to toot my own horn. Speaking of which...
Heard everything and Ephron begrudgingly hands you the horn.
You beat me.
Did his voice break while I was herding? How long was I gone for?
Blowing the horn scares most creatures away, although it seems honks are drawn to it. If you blow the horn near a gromp, it will be distracted from whatever it's doing and chase after you instead. Sometimes. It's not always 100% effective. Usually there's a few seconds delay before the gromp starts his rampage, but sometimes if you blow the horn, the gromp chases you immediately, which is a problem as it can catch you while you're still holding the horn. Either way, this item proves useful as we continue our adventure.
Whoa there, lad! You don't want to be mucking about here.
We cannot progress to the next area as we need a magic hammer to activate the switch to open the gate.
Magic hammer!
Hey, I wonder if Elmer's got a spare! So now we have to head back to Valley Floor and lull the grumpy tree to sleep using the flute.
There we go.
No, don't say it!
Sleeps like a log.
I told you not to say it. Now we can cross over to the mill, where we meet the baker, who's also on his way to the tournament.
I'm sure you'll find your way there.
You know, you could offer to take me. It might save us some time. No? Fine, be like that then!
I'm actually a little confused about all the anthropomorphic animal creatures we're meeting. Has nobody stopped to question whether the gromps might be sentient too? How would you like to be herded into a pen, Baker? Anyway, the elven horn is loud enough to wake a sleeping gypsy.
That's not an expression or anything, that's literally what you have to do.
She then takes us to Goldmine Gorge, which is kind of annoying. Almost as soon as you start the level for the first time, some dupes will just randomly die.
Why am I even trying to save you? Can you not stay alive for 5 minutes?
This level introduces a one-off creature, the ants. Groups of ants won't respond to you, but playing your flute around the music ant encourages him to follow you and beat his drum, and the groups of ants will then follow him. The idea is to take them to the ant hills, but watch out you don't take them near the other creatures or they will massacre them. Inside the mine, we meet old Jake, who shows off his latest invention.
I call it a ladder.
Great.
The trouble is, the ladder will not take Gerdy's weight.
I know! You could use Belder's feather to make yourself really light.
Or you could make your ladders a little sturdier. You might sell more ladders if people can actually use them.
At the end of the gorge, we meet a gypsy, who takes us to Belder's Spring.
It is I, the mighty Belder!
Here we meet the ghost of Belder, a deceased miner, who promises the feather as long as you retrieve his bones from the bleeps and gromps in the tomb.
Check out this mighty hand!
This level is extremely dark, and it can be hard to see at times, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. Let's face it, we've seen far worse lighting in games recently. I'm looking at you, Open Season.
I think?
With the feather, we can not only access the bells in the gorge, but we can also progress to new areas. I just wish he didn't climb ladders so bloody slowly. Go on. Almost there. Hallelujah! Still shouldn't complain. At least he can climb ladders, unlike Audrey here. While exploring the daisy patch, we meet this oversized mutant bee who can't find his way out.
I can help. I know the way out.
You do?
Escort the bee out of the daisy patch, and we can also take him to the sleeping bear.
That's a bear!
Finally, we can head through the cave and... oh my god, what the hell is she doing here?
Would you like to go to the mountain pass?
That voice cuts right through me.
This next level sees you herd creatures as you ascend the mountain. There are doops and bleeps galore, not to mention some fairly lengthy gromp chases.
Finally!
Oh, and by the way, should two gromps ever meet, they will fight each other for a short time, which allows you to sneak creatures past them. The map comes in very handy when herding, as it indicates with colour coding where all the creatures and their pens are, and can either be viewed partially or in full. The problem with viewing it in full is that it covers a good portion of the screen and obstructs your view.
Can't see where you are? Not to worry, here's a map. Now you can see even less. Isn't that useful?
As soon as we've herded enough creatures, we can find a ladder leading higher up the mountains to moonlit peaks. This level introduces us to the grimps. These things are nasty. They will attack and ravage any creature they see, including you. Fortunately, they can be lulled by your flute. In this level, you need to allow a gromp to hit you a number of times to open a secret passage leading to a dupe pen. You also get to free Santa Claus. No, really.
How did you get stuck here?
I was thinking about using this cave for storing the toys I make.
Good to see you're still alive, Santa. After well, you know, I take it I'm on the naughty list.
Once you've herded enough creatures, a cave on the top of the mountain will open up.
Hold it right there, you thieving mite!
In here, we find Porrick, evidently a very accurate depiction of an Irishman.
Don't you be giving me that now. I've heard it all before. I see you've made it up the top of the mountain.
Oh, hello again. I don't suppose you've got any idea how to get that guy's magic hammer.
Okay, so this task doesn't really make much sense at all, but try and follow me, okay? In order to obtain Porrick's magic hammer, you need to reach his pot of gold at the top of the ice trail. The idea is to move slowly so as not to alert him, and stop whenever he wakes up. I'm not sure what just stopping there achieves. Surely he can still see us there. Is he not the least bit suspicious? No? Okay, well, sweet dreams, I guess. If he sees you next to his pot of gold, it will scare him, and this will gain you access to the hammer. Somehow. I'm sure there was a simpler way.
Would it not have made more sense to just sneak up to the hammer and take it?
The hammer becomes essential in later levels. Once you collect enough bells, a rainbow switch appears. Hitting the rainbow switch will activate whatever it is you need to progress. So now we can return to the Elven Wood, collect enough bells to make the rainbow switch appear, and hit it to progress to the forest glade. This has to be one of the most annoying dupe levels. As soon as you start the level, they're approached by a hungry gromp, and they're so unresponsive. Run, you little morons! Run! I'm trying to help you! They're forever scattering and getting trapped in corners. It's just exhausting. Eventually we get to the Crystal Lake, but we can't get any further as we need a special swimming costume to be able to swim. Fortunately, we meet a grumpy mole who hands you some, gloves.
That's not really what I was hoping for, but okay.
But what use are these?
Those gloves are magic. You'll find yourself much stronger as long as you wear them.
With the gloves, you can push these blocks that have paw print symbols on them.
You should head over to the temple next.
We then have to return to Midmere, where we need to herd the bleeps into the correct pens to unlock the ancient temple. Once the temple is unlocked, it can only be accessed with the gloves. What? How long has she been standing there for?
She's really starting to creep me out. Who knows where she'll appear next?
Would you like to go to the ancient temple?
The temple is fortunately not as awkward as you might expect. With it taking place indoors and having to navigate lengthy corridors, you'd expect the camera to be a nightmare. And, well, it is, but surprisingly no more than usual. This level involves a hell of a lot of block pushing, either to reach high up ledges or to activate pressure pads. The block pushing is a little awkward. Gerdy sometimes seems to stick to the block like a magnet, whether you want to push it or not. At some point, we come across a really ill-placed game show-style quiz.
Hey there, young fella! Fancy doing my quiz for some great prizes?
Answering all of these guys' questions correctly sees Gerdy rewarded with some bells. And Gerdy, of course, reacts with the usual enthusiasm.
Thanks.
Bye!
Well, that was awkward.
Are we still in the deserts? Because that felt cold.
The exit to the temple brings us out in Pirate Cove, where we meet that guy.
Dun, 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 dun.
You have indeed come far, young Gerdy.
Indeed I have. I'd just like to know how you got here before me.
Try to beat your father's time on this beach.
Here we have another time trial. It's not too taxing. The worst part of this is the camera when you lure the gromps into the tunnels. You can't see where you're going half the time, so you just kind of hope for the best.
What in the blasted seas was that?
I didn't hear anything.
Confounded racket! I bet it be that darn bird again.
And then suddenly we're roped into getting rid of a pesky bird. And a rather big bird it is at that.
What the hell? What are the Skeksis doing here?
Here we have a really random boss level. Scrag is big and frankly terrifying. The idea is to sneak behind him and blow your horn to scare him away. Once Scrag has flown a nest, it appears he made off with the Helper Mole's swimming costume.
It smells of that disgusting bird. And it always made me look quite fat anyway. You keep it.
Gee, thanks. That's very tactful. That's like saying this is fucking awful. Here, you have it.
With the swimming costume, we can now swim to access more areas. Holding R1 will also make Gerdy swim faster. Once we're ready to return to the mainland, we can go back to the Crystal Lake. This level is fairly complicated. We need to collect as many bells as we can to activate rainbow switches to raise the bridges, and also push blocks to fill the gaps in the walkway. The only creatures in this level are honks and grimps, which might not sound too complex, but it becomes awkward when you realise both of these sets of creatures respond to the flute. If the creatures cross paths, the grimps will devour the honks without hesitation. What's also really irritating is the grimps AI, as one or two regularly get stuck by the bridge supports, meaning you're bound to lose them and have to constantly backtrack. Can you not walk in a straight line? Jeez! Once we've crossed the lake to find the gypsy, we can progress to the Great Forest, where we meet the Bell Bear, responsible for leaving 100 bells in each level.
I've got plenty more at my secret hiding place.
That's good then.
Well, I'd best be off. It's a long walk back to my secret hiding place.
You're not very good at keeping this secret hiding place a secret, are you?
The bear will travel slowly across the level while you herd all the creatures. If you time it right so that you can intercept him as he approaches his, secret hiding place, you can enter and access more bells. Just hope he doesn't mind my trespassing.
You won't tell anyone about it, will you?
Your secret is safe with me.
We also stumble upon the baker again, whose cart has overturned thanks to some stray doops.
That's karma for not offering me a lift, you prick.
The herding isn't too complicated in this level, and the AI is cooperative for the most part. Maybe I spoke too soon.
Delius!
We then reach a spooky part of the forest in which this girl bear has lost her baby brother Delius.
How about I go and get him for you?
His whereabouts is a mystery, but the biggest mystery is who in the name of all that is holy names a baby bear Delius? I mean, really? Eventually we find the baby bear is being held captive by a witch who wants to eat him.
That's not a bad evil laugh, to be fair. Still not quite as good as... That gag's been running for 3 years and it's still going strong.
So anyway, to cut a long story short, the witch promises you the bear if you can find her 3 ingredients for frog and bat stew.
Bats? Oh shit! Oh, keep the bear! We've been in quarantine long enough!
In order to obtain all the ingredients, we need to trap 3 gromps. It's simple enough, but the camera proves a real annoyance as your vision is constantly blocked. You can't bloody see! Once we've rescued the baby bear, we need to take him back to his sister, protecting him from scary things. Yep, it's an escort mission! Bet you're thrilled!
Yippee.
Every time the baby bear gets scared, his fright meter will increase. Once it fills completely, you'll need to start over. Look, you're just gonna have to grin and bear it.
Aye, thank you.
With Delius returned, the girl bear offers to show you a shortcut through the woods, which takes us to the next location, Beaver's Creek.
Do they? I wouldn't know. I tend to keep my distance.
Sorry, that's Beaver Creek. In this level, all the bells are being held by the beavers, all doing their best Mickey Mouse impressions.
Don't tell anyone you found me!
Finding a beaver sees you rewarded with 10 bells. Collecting the bells will activate rainbow switches for the bridges, so that we can crack on with the herding. Overall, the herding in this level is not too difficult, although it is the first time when herding every creature in the level is mandatory. The exit to this level is hidden behind a waterfall. Before we can leave, we meet that game show guy again and endure another positively awkward encounter.
Thanks.
Bye!
Your prize this time being the exit, where the lovely Esmeralda is standing.
Call me.
We then progress to Foxtown Bridge, where we need to find a way to enter the town as the main gate is locked. Herding the creatures isn't too difficult, but it's the first time finding all the bells is a requirement, as you need them to activate a rainbow switch to open the sewers, where... guess who?
Looks like we found the Court of Miracles. I think we made a wrong turn.
Once we get to Foxtown via the sewers, the game undergoes a pretty drastic shift in tone. We once again meet the baker, which again makes no sense as we overtook him not long ago, remember? He's having a problem with glooters, these rodent creatures who keep stealing his bread.
How am I going to get all the bread ready for the tournament tomorrow?
You're going to the tournament?
What? We've already established that. We've met him twice already. Jesus Christ, Gerdy, pay attention.
I'll make you a deal. If I get rid of them, you take me to the tournament. How about it?
Okay, so this level is a long one. We need to herd the glooters into the various sewage pipes dotted around a map using the flute. But there's a curfew.
We need to avoid the guards roaming the streets, or else.
I've got you.
Yeah, they're really not that scary.
But if you get caught, you get sent to jail. It's easy enough to escape, but it's annoying having to be sent back to where you started the level. The meter in the bottom left indicates how close you are to a guard. Get too close and they start pulling this weird face.
Oh.
Fortunately for you, they're about as useless as all the other guards we've met in these old games. For one thing, the glooters and your flute make such a din, it's a real wonder that they never suspect a thing.
Will you guys shut up? You're about as stealthy as the penguins.
Hut, hut. Hut, 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 hut.
In this level, the map is essential. Not only does it indicate where all the glooters are, it lets you know where all the guards are too. A minor issue I encountered is that the glooters sometimes refuse to go down certain passages, even if the map suggests a legitimate route. My assumption is the AI is programmed to only allow them to go down certain streets, which would be acceptable if the other routes were blocked, but not all of them are.
All the glooters are gone, but they've taken so many of my ingredients.
Oh dear.
Try again, Gerdy. This time with feeling.
It turns out the glooters have made off with all the ingredients, so we need to sneak around and locate some milk, flour, and eggs. Once we've found the ingredients, you and the baker make your way to the docks to find the baker's boat. Not only do you have to sneak past all the guards without being seen, but you also need to find all the bells or you won't be able to leave. Finally, we set sail for Tournament Island, but a miserable cockney refuses to let us in.
If you manage to get all these creatures out here into their pens, I'll let you through. Otherwise, get lost and stop wasting my time. Got it?
Herding all the creatures here isn't all that difficult. It just requires you to think logically about the order in which to open the cages. Once we're through, we arrive at the tournament in a nick of time to beat Sadorf, who's a crocodile apparently. Who knew?
There's one more competitor.
Very well. I have one more fool to beat.
What follows are 3 time trials that take place throughout the day, and they're not as challenging as you might expect. The hardest of these is most definitely the second one. It takes a long time, and it seems much easier to screw up, but that's just my opinion. Should you win, Sadorf loses the acorn, which I personally found really disappointing. With the previous level maintaining such a dark tone, I was really hoping for more of a climax, or at the very least a boss level. I mean, the acorn clearly has magical properties. You'd think Sadorf would use them, but nope, that's it. The end.
That's all, folks.
All the characters then partake in what I can only describe as the worst party I've ever seen. Oh, and Gerdy's dad is there too.
He's grown so much.
Huh? And saved us all in the process.
I would never have believed it.
Thanks for your support, Dad.
Gerdy doesn't utter a word to his dad at all. Instead, he seems preoccupied with the baker. I mean, did I miss something? Did they have this blossoming friendship that I just didn't notice? And who the hell is this gatecrasher?
I don't remember meeting him. Who invited him?
So anyway, with the game finished, why not go back and try to herd everything? In terms of completing levels 100%, there is a way to herd all the creatures in every level flawlessly, without costing the lives of some creatures. That is, all except one level, Gold Mine Gorge. This is a really interesting case. It is of course technically possible to achieve 100% completion, but this level is the only occasion in which trapping a gromp next to a dupe pen is completely unavoidable. You merely have to trap him last so that his consumption of the nearby dupes won't affect your score. Or the same, they're still gonna get eaten, so what difference does it make, really?
I'm pretty sure we've caused more harm than good there. Sorry, guys.
He's led that monster right to us!
There are plenty of levels that you'll need to return to after having obtained new abilities. For example, achieving completion on a mountain pass level is only made possible once you have the gloves and the ability to swim, as you need to lead dupes down a river and over a waterfall. Having to return to levels to complete them is a nice idea and all, but the problem is, there really isn't any incentive to herd everything in the game, as you're not given any kind of reward. Now, I'm not complaining that there's a lack of bonus content by any means. Finding all the bells unlocks plenty, but the fact that there's no reward for having herded everything is pretty deflating, particularly as it's the game's primary objective. What I would have suggested is that each level should withhold a certain number of bells until after you've herded everything. At least that way you'd feel like you've received some form of recognition for having gone to such effort. As it stands, once you've completed the levels once, you've no real reason to go back at all, except for bells, which is a shame as for the most part the levels are worth experiencing in full. Okay, so you're probably not expecting this, but I bloody love this game. Now, from a critical standpoint, I have to be realistic, of course. The graphics could do with being a little more vibrant, the camera is useless, and some of the AI needs a polish. But for the most part, this game impressed me. I can completely understand why some people might give up after the first few levels, but the entire game is well worth a look. The level design is clever, and the locations are enormous. The frame rate will drop fairly frequently, but it's not too much of a distraction. This is a seriously underrated game, despite its flaws, and is supremely imaginative. Indeed, Herdy Gerdy can be bleeping frustrating, but it's ultimately a fun romp.
Or should I say gromp?
Bye!